The movie begins with a family moving into a new apartment called the Pink Palace. This old, mysterious house is divided into 3 apartments. The basement apartment is home to Miss Spink and Miss Forcible, 2 retired actresses with a love for tea and storytelling. The attic apartment belongs to Mr. Babinski, an eccentric man who claims to run a mouse circus. While her parents are busy settling into their new apartment, a girl named Coraline wanders through the Pink Palace garden. The area feels lifeless and dull, nothing like the exciting place she had hoped for. As she explores, she picks up a stick and plays with it. Suddenly, a boy wearing a skull-shaped helmet rides toward her on a bike, startling her and causing her to fall. The boy removes his helmet, revealing himself as Wyby, short for Wyborn. He explains that he's the grandson of the Pink Palace's landlady. But before they can talk much, his grandmother calls him away. The next day, Coraline complains to her mother about not letting her go outside and garden. Her mother explains that it's raining, so she can't go out. Afterward, her mother hands her a doll, saying that a boy dropped it off for her. Coraline looks at the doll, feeling confused, because it looks exactly like her. Coraline begins exploring the house, making a list of things that are broken. She goes through each room in the apartment, inspecting everything. While exploring the living room, she discovers a small hidden door. Curious, she asks her mother for help to open it. But to Coraline's disappointment, they find that the door is bricked up behind it. Her mother explains that it was probably sealed off when the house was divided into 3 apartments. Later, at dinner, Coraline complains about the food and refuses to eat it. Her mother sighs and says, "We'll go food shopping tomorrow, but until then, this is what we have." After dinner, Coraline goes to her room and falls asleep. At midnight, she wakes up to a strange sound. Looking around, she sees a jumping mouse and decides to follow it as it scurries into the living room. The mouse squeezes through the small door they had previously discovered. When Coraline opens the door, she is shocked. Instead of a brick wall, there is now a tunnel. Curious, she steps inside and follows the passage. But at the end of the tunnel, she finds herself in what looks like the same living room. Since she didn't eat dinner, Coraline goes to the kitchen, hoping to find something to eat. To her surprise, she sees her mother cooking. Coraline asks what she's making, but when her mother turns around, Coraline is shocked. Her mother doesn't have normal eyes. Instead, she has black buttons sewn in their place. Terrified, Coraline insists that this woman isn't her mother, but before she can finish speaking, the woman smiles and says, "I'm your other mother. Now go tell your other father that dinner is ready." Confused, Coraline goes to find her father. When she sees him, she realizes he also has black button eyes, just like the other mother. She hesitantly tells him that dinner is ready. The meal is unlike anything Coraline has ever had. Beautifully prepared, delicious, and full of flavors she loves. She is amazed by how perfect everything seems. The next day, Coraline wakes up in her real room. Confused, she quickly runs to the small door, hoping to find the tunnel again. But to her disappointment, it is bricked up just as it was when they first opened it. During breakfast, she excitedly tells her parents about her dream, the other mother, the delicious food, and the wonderful place she visited. However, her parents dismissed it as just a dream. Annoyed by Coraline's nonstop talk about the other world, her mother suggests she go downstairs and share her story with Miss Spink and Miss Forcible. After breakfast, Coraline heads outside to visit the actresses. But as she steps out, she notices that her mail and Mr. Babinski's have been mixed up. She picks up the misplaced letters and walks over to Babinski's place to return them. He thanks her and engages in a bit of small talk before she continues on her way. Next, she arrives at the actress's apartment and knocks on the door. Miss Spink and Miss Forcible warmly welcome her inside and offer her tea. As Coraline sips her tea, women suddenly decide to read her tea leaves. Their expressions turn serious as they warn her of an approaching danger, mentioning something about a peculiar hand. Hearing this, Coraline loses interest in sharing her dream with them. Feeling uneasy, she thanks them for the tea and quickly leaves. When Coraline steps outside, she notices that the area is now covered in a thick mist. She walks through it cautiously, trying to find her way. Meanwhile, she spots Wyby lurking nearby, trying to scare her. Instead of reacting, she pretends not to see him and then suddenly catches him off guard. Coraline asks, "Why did you make a doll that looks like me?" Wyby looks confused and explains that he didn't make it. He simply found it in his house. Since it looked just like her, he decided to give it to her mother. He then mentions something strange. He has never actually been inside the Pink Palace. His grandmother forbids him from going near it, always warning him that the place is dangerous. He believes it has something to do with her twin sister, who mysteriously disappeared when they were little. Before Coraline can ask more, Wyby's grandmother suddenly calls out for him. Without finishing their conversation, YB quickly rushes back home. Before going to sleep, Coraline places some cheese on the floor near her bedroom door, hoping to lure mice. Then she drifts off. In the middle of the night, she wakes up to the sound of mice. As soon as she hears them, she jumps out of bed and follows them. They lead her straight to the small door. Excited, she opens it, and just as she wished, the tunnel is there again. Without hesitation, she steps through and arrives in the other mother's world. She goes to the kitchen, where the other mother greets her warmly and places a strawberry in her mouth. "Go get your other father for dinner," she says. "He's out in the garden." Curious, Coraline heads outside. The garden is nothing like the dull, lifeless one in the real world. It's vibrant, colorful, and full of life. Flowers bloom in mesmerizing patterns, and glowing fireflies dance in the air. She runs through it, taking in its breathtaking beauty. Then, she spots her other father. He's maintaining the garden while riding a giant praying mantis-shaped machine. As he sees Coraline, he smiles, drives up to her, and lifts her onto the machine. Together, they soar into the sky, and he proudly presents his latest masterpiece, a garden shaped like Coraline's face, blooming with bright, dazzling flowers. While they are eating, the other mother tells Coraline that Mr. Babinski has invited her to watch his jumping mouse circus. She agrees to go. After dinner, Coraline heads to Mr. Babinski's place with YB. As expected, his apartment is amazing and full of vibrant colors. They enter a large circus tent, and as soon as they step inside, the show begins. The mice perform an incredible series of acts, jumping, balancing, and creating mesmerizing formations, all to impress Coraline. She watches in awe, amazed by the beauty and precision of their performance. At the end of the show, she thanks Mr. Babinski for inviting her to such a wonderful experience and then heads home. Just like before, she wakes up in her real-world bed the next morning. Then, Coraline checks whether the jumping mice ate the crumbs she had left on the floor. Seeing that they did, she rushes to the small door, hoping to open it again. But this time, it's locked. She quickly realizes that her mother must have locked it. Later, Coraline and her parents go shopping to buy new clothes for her new school. While in the shop, she complains about how her other mother was so much better, kinder, more fun, and not like her real parents. On the way, she questions her mother about why she locked the door. Her mother explains that since rats were coming in through it, she decided to keep it shut. This answer frustrates Coraline, and she starts feeling angry. After they return home, Coraline's mother opens the refrigerator to find something for Coraline to eat, but seeing that it's empty, she sighs and says, "After your father comes home, he'll make something for you." Then, she leaves for work. As soon as her mother is gone, Coraline starts searching for the key to the small door. After a while, she finds it. Closing her eyes, she unlocks the door, hoping the tunnel will be there again. To her surprise, it is. Excited, she steps inside and makes her way to the other world. As usual, she goes to the kitchen. This time she finds a present with a letter beside it. The letter from the other mother says that Miss Spink and Miss Forcible are inviting her to watch their new performance. After eating lunch, Coraline steps outside and starts walking to their apartment. On the way, she spots a black cat. To her shock, the cat suddenly speaks to her. It warns her, saying that even though this world seems like a dream come true, it is not a good place. But Coraline thinks the cat is talking nonsense and doesn't give it much thought. Without overthinking, she continues on her way to Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's place. When she steps inside, she is surprised to find a grand theater filled with an audience of dogs. In the front row, she spots YB and takes a seat next to him. As soon as she sits down, the show begins. The actresses perform a stage play about mermaids and thrilling adventures. Coraline is captivated by the performance and enjoys every moment. After the show ends, she steps outside and finds her other parents waiting for her. As they walk home together, she excitedly describes how wonderful the show was. After they arrive home, Coraline's other parents give her another present. Excited, she happily accepts it and opens the box. But to her shock, inside are 2 black buttons with a needle and thread. Terrified, she pushes the box away. The other mother picks it up again and hands it back to her, saying, "If you want to stay here, you need to sew them on. But don't worry, we won't pressure you. Take your time and decide." Feeling uneasy, Coraline pretends to be tired and says she needs to sleep. She goes to her room, locks the door, and jumps into bed, forcing herself to sleep, knowing that when she wakes up, she'll be back in the real world. But when she wakes up, she is still in the other world. Confused and frightened, she realizes that this time she didn't arrive by sleeping. She walked through the door. Then she runs to the door, but the living room door is locked, so she hurries to find her other father. She demands that he tell her where the other mother is and insists that she wants to go home. But he quietly says, "I can't talk when she's not here." Realizing there's no point in talking to him, Coraline runs outside, rushing through the garden. As she makes her way through the strange forest, the black cat appears and asks, "Where are you going?" "I'm getting out of this place," she replies. They walk together until they reach a strange area, just endless white space, empty and silent. The cat explains, "This is part of the world she made to attract you. The rest, she leaves unfinished." After walking for some time, they finally reach the pink palace. Suddenly, the cat rushes toward a corner and catches one of the jumping mice. As soon as the cat kills it, the mouse transforms into something ugly and unnatural, a giant rat. Coraline realizes it wasn't a real mouse at all. The cat tosses the dead rat aside and quietly walks away, leaving Coraline standing alone. Now that she knows the only way out is through the small door, Coraline heads back inside the house. Grabbing a cane, she uses it to break down the locked living room door. Suddenly, the lights flick on. The other mother stands there. She forces Coraline to sit down. Coraline shouts, demanding to be let go. The other mother's smile fades. Her body begins to twist and change. She transforms into a tall, thin, terrifying creature with sharp features and long limbs. Without a word, she grabs Coraline and drags her away, locking her inside a mirror. Coraline tries to break free, pounding on the glass, but it doesn't work. Then she hears a voice calling her. She turns and notices something glowing under a blanket. Slowly, she walks over and pulls the blanket away. To her shock, she sees 3 ghostly children. "Who are you?" Coraline asks, frightened but curious. One of them replies, "We don't remember our names, but we remember her." The beldam. They explain how the other mother used dolls to spy on them. She watched them through button eyes, waiting until they were unhappy or lonely. Then she appeared and gave them everything they wanted: love, sweets, and fun. But when they agreed to sew buttons into their eyes, it was a trap. She stole their souls and locked them in the mirror world. The ghost children look at Coraline with pleading eyes. "If you manage to escape, please find our eyes. If you do, our souls will finally be free." Before Coraline can respond, she's suddenly yanked backward. Someone grabs her. She struggles, kicking and pushing to get away. In the struggle, she sees the face. It's Wybie. His mouth twitches, and Coraline realizes he's trying to help her. He leads her quickly through the house, back to the small door. There, they lifts the heavy bug-like furniture blocking it and gesture for her to crawl through. "I can't leave this place." "But you can." Coraline hesitates for a moment, then climbs into the tunnel. She looks back at Wybie one last time before the door begins to close behind her. She runs through the twisting tunnel with all her strength. At last, she stumbles out into her own world, landing on the wooden floor of her real living room. Without wasting a second, she slams the small door shut and locks it tight behind her. Coraline walks through the house, searching every room for her real parents. She checks the kitchen, and there she sees her mother's groceries sitting on the counter. But when she touches them, she gasps. They're spoiled and moldy. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Coraline's heart leaps. She rushes to the door, hoping it's her parents. But instead, it's Wybie. He looks serious. "I need the doll I gave you," he says. "My grandmother is really upset. She says it belonged to her missing sister." At that moment, Coraline's eyes widen. The ghost girl. She must be Wybie's grandmother's sister. Without saying another word, Coraline grabs Wybie's hand and pulls him to her room. She frantically starts searching for the doll while explaining everything: what she saw in the other world, the truth about the ghost children, and how the other mother used the doll to spy on her. Wybie looks confused. The more Coraline talks, the more uneasy he gets. Finally, he shakes his head. "You're crazy, Coraline," he says, backing away. Then he runs out of the house. Furious and hurt, Coraline chases after him. But in her hurry, she slips on the porch steps and falls hard in front of the house, then sees something. Her parents' car is parked nearby. She rushes to it, but it's empty. She finds her mom's phone on the seat and desperately calls her dad's number over and over, but no one answers. Left with no other choice, Coraline wipes her tears and heads toward the apartment of the 2 actresses, Miss Spink and Miss Forcible. Coraline tells the 2 actresses that her parents are missing. The ladies look at each other with concern and whisper quietly for a moment. Then, one of them brings her a bowl of candy. The other, Miss Spink, takes 2 long knitting needles and begins tapping on one of the candies again and again. Coraline watches in confusion as the tapping continues until, finally, The candy transforms into a smooth, round candy glass marble. She hands it to Coraline and says, "This is good for finding lost things. It might help you find your parents." That night, while Coraline sleeps, the black cat sneaks into her room and wakes her up. Without a word, it leads her silently through the house and stops in front of a mirror. Inside the mirror, Coraline gasps. She sees her real parents. She tries to reach in and rescue them, but the mirror cracks and shatters. Then, the cat guides her to her parents' bedroom. There, it points to something on the bed, a handmade doll shaped like her parents. Coraline's eyes fill with rage. She grabs the doll and throws it into the fireplace, watching it burn to ashes. Her mind is made up. She's going back. She's going to rescue her parents and stop the beldam, once and for all. As she steps into the tunnel once again, the cat walks beside her. "She won't let you win easily," the cat warns. "But she's obsessed with games. I think that information might help you." With that, the cat vanishes into the darkness. Coraline arrives in the other world and heads straight to the beldam. "I want my parents," she says firmly. But the beldam doesn't reply. Instead, she forces Coraline to sit in a chair. Then she locks the door and swallows the key. She turns and leaves the room. After some time, just like before, the beldam calls Coraline to dinner. As she sits down at the table, Coraline looks her in the eyes and proposes a deal. "I want to play a game," she says. "A finding game. If I win, you have to free my parents and the ghost children's souls. But if you win, I'll stay here forever and let you sew buttons into my eyes." Beldam says, "Deal," and then mysteriously disappears into the shadows. Left alone, Coraline thinks hard about where to start. She decides to head to the garden. As she searches, she remembers the candy glass the actresses gave her. She holds it up to her eye, and everything around her fades into shades of gray except for something glowing faintly in the distance. It's one of the ghost children's eyes. The glow is coming from a praying mantis-shaped machine in the garden, and her other father is inside it. Coraline fights the machine bravely, dodging its arms and finally managing to grab the glowing eye. As soon as she does, the machine collapses, and her other father sinks into the pond, vanishing beneath the surface. The moment she secures the eye, the garden around her starts turning gray and cold, crumbling back into lifeless concrete. Then Coraline goes to the apartment of the two other actresses, searching for another ghost eye. On the stage, she spots a giant toffee prop. Using the candy glass the actresses had given her, she looks through it and sees a glowing eye hidden inside the toffee wrapper. Carefully, Coraline climbs up and reaches for the eye, but the other actresses, twisting into eerie, monstrous shapes as they try to stop her. Thinking quickly, Coraline uses her torch to knock down the bats hanging above. The sudden flutter distracts the actresses, and with a few clever moves, Coraline manages to grab the second ghost eye and escape. After that, she heads to Mr. Babinski's apartment. But before she can even begin her search, the other Babinski appears, holding the last ghost eye. With a creepy grin, he darts into his circus tent. Coraline follows him, but as she chases him deeper inside, his body starts to change. He transforms into a swarm of rats. The rats scatter in all directions, and one of them escapes with the ghost eye. Coraline chases after it as fast as she can, running across a staircase, but the steps suddenly break beneath her, and she falls. Hurt and helpless, she realizes she's losing the last eye. She begins to cry. Just then, the black cat leaps into action. With perfect timing, it attacks the rat, knocking the eye loose. The glowing eye rolls across the floor and stops right in front of Coraline. She grabs it tightly. As soon as she has all three ghost eyes, the world around her begins to fall apart. Everything breaks down and vanishes into a white void. Coraline and the cat run as fast as they can. With a final leap, they escape just in time. After some time, Coraline walks through the house. Everything is slowly falling apart. The walls are cracking, colors are fading. In the living room, she sees the weakened beldam, hunched and angry. The beldam smugly shows Coraline the candy glass and burns it right in front of her. "You still haven't found your parents," she sneers. Suddenly, the ghost eyes begin to glow, and one of the ghost children warns her, "Be clever, even if you win, she might not let you go." But Coraline has a plan. She calmly tells the beldam, "I know where my parents are. They're behind the small door." While the beldam is distracted, eagerly opening the door, Coraline searches the room. The cat leads her to the fireplace wall and points toward a snow globe sitting on the mantel. Just as the beldam turns around, Coraline grabs the black cat and throws it at her face. The beldam screams in pain, giving Coraline just enough time to snatch the snow globe and dash into the tunnel. With the help of the ghost children, she manages to close the door behind her. Back in her real home, she slams her side of the door shut and locks it tight. Moments later, her real parents come out of the hallway, acting like nothing ever happened. They say their errands went well and suggest they all go out for dinner and leave. Coraline is confused. They don't seem to remember anything about being missing. That night, Coraline's parents come into her room to say goodnight. They seem happy and relaxed after finishing their work. Before leaving, they hand her a small present. When Coraline opens it, her eyes light up. It's the colorful gloves she had begged for before. After her parents leave, the black cat appears at her bedroom window. Coraline opens it and gently picks him up. "I'm sorry for throwing you at the beldam," she whispers. She brings him to bed with her. They curl up together and fall asleep. That night, the ghost children appear in her dream. They thank Coraline for freeing them, but they warns her in a soft, echoing voice, "Even though we're free, you're still in danger. You must hide the key. Keep it far away from her reach." Coraline jolts awake and immediately tells the cat about the warning. Without wasting time, she heads outside to find a safe place to hide the black key. But unknown to her, the beldam's hand, broken off when the door was slammed, has crawled into the real world. It slips through the cracks of the closed door and begins following Coraline silently through the shadows. Coraline walks to the old abandoned well, opens the lid, and holds the key over the opening. But just then, the beldam's skeletal hand leaps out from the shadows. It grabs the key and starts dragging her toward the Pink Palace garden. Suddenly, Wybie appears with Bike, grabs hand, but the hand turns on him, attacking. Both of them tumble to the edge of the well. Wybie manages to hang on, clinging to the mouth of the well, but the creepy hand crawls after him, trying to push him down. Coraline rushes over with a blanket. She wraps the hand tightly, trapping it. Wybie grabs a large rock and slams it down, crushing the hand at last. Together, they wrap the broken hand and the key inside the blanket, tie it up tight, and drop it deep into the well, forever sealing the danger. Afterward, Wybie looks at Coraline and says, "Sorry for calling you crazy." Coraline smiles. "I'm just glad you came." Wybie grins. "It was because of the cat." The next day, everyone in the neighborhood joins together to clean up the garden around the Pink Palace. They plant bright tulips and make the yard beautiful again. Coraline happily serves lemonade to everyone. Just then, Wybie walks up, this time with his grandmother.